Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. Really glad that you're here today. It's Friday, May the 6th, and joining me, Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Jim Burns. How you guys doing?
Hey, guys. Good to be with you.
Great to be with you, too. I learned so much from this program. I'm just telling you. I feel like I'm the learner, but I know I'm on this mic. But
well, we learned from you, too, Jim.
I don't know.
So you're great to have in the mix.
Jim. Jim and I worked together for years, and some of my most cherished memories are with Jim on the road, us speaking, and just a great, great time. We've written several books together. We wrote a book named Steering Them Straight. It has nothing to do with sexuality. If you can imagine anybody writing a book with that title. And When Love Is Not Enough, Drug Proof Your Kids, all those things are there. But I want to talk to you about something very, very specific. This Sunday, just 2 days away, is Tissues for Issues Day. It's Mother's Day. And a lot of people, rather than this just be the most fantastic, fun, and wonderful day, this is a hard, hard day. And you need a lot of tissue for all the issues that come up. I remember when we were an infertile couple, how hard it was on Mother's Day. And then you think about folks that their mother was horrible. And now they're looking at Mother's Day. And I say this often. You should never honor the dishonorable. And the greatest honor you can be to a dishonorable mother is to be a person that your mother could never help you become. Mm-hmm. That you become an honor to her without honoring that abusive behavior if it was there. And that's the reality. Not everybody is great at being a parent. And if you're not, it's not too late to do what you can to get better. But infertile, single women, folks with abusive parents, some that never had a mother, all of these issues come up on Mother's Day.
Well, and even being a mother, Mother's Day is not always the greatest, right? Because you're juggling maybe your mom and then your kids, and half the time maybe they forget, and it's kind of this forced thing sometimes. Yeah. That can bring up things on both sides of the fence.
You're right. It can be complicated, and part of our job, I think, is to protect our own soul, but to do the honoring that we can do, and yet protect our own soul. And I think the job of some of us who aren't mothers is to come alongside and remind some of those kids of ours to be there.
Right.
That it doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah, and to not make it be the end-all, be-all of their care or love for you, to recognize their stage of life and adjust your expectations.
Exactly. But even a simple thank you, I find, is a big deal. And I've let my kids know that about to not forget. It's coming up for my kids.
Tomorrow we do our grief workshop, and I think because it's virtual, you could still sign up. But sometimes the greatest thing we can do for ourselves is to grieve the mother or father, the mother we never had, rather than to continue to idealize them and expect them to do or be something that they cannot. They don't have it in them. But when we grieve the loss or the lack that was there, we can be free from expecting things that will never come our way. If you need help, you want to sign up for our grief workshop tomorrow, we would love for you to come. 1-800-NEW LIFE is the number to call. Exodus 20:12 says, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Now, that doesn't say everything, because no scripture says everything. Well, except John 3:16 pretty much says everything about salvation. But it's tough when you have a tough mom or not.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 15th through the 17th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, 1-800-229-3000. You can watch us on YouTube and discover we do have Faces for Radio. Let's go to Andrea, Chino Hills, California, KKLA. Andrea, welcome to New Life Live. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Steve? Well, I say good, but I am currently experiencing grief. We just lost a dear, loved, the patriarch of our family, my uncle, yesterday.
Oh.
And I am asked, my question specifically, I'm also my mother's caretaker. That was her brother. So and she has Alzheimer's dementia. Mm-hmm. Not knowing how to share that news with her yesterday, I, had to think through, pray about it. And everyone was like, oh, she's going to forget. Why tell her? She deserved to still know. I had to tell her. People are going to be sending her messages and whatnot. But how does somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia continue to grieve when it's going to daily be that trauma again when she hears of the news?
Yeah. And let me just ask you this. You sound like a very wise person. What do you think is going to be the best way to do it? Let's start there.
Well, we did share with her yesterday.
Okay.
We comforted her. We told her he's in heaven. He's not suffering.
Yeah.
And
good.
Just consoled her and then
really
went into
good.
Good memories.
Yeah. I think that's
good memories, asked
brilliant.
her questions.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And just reminding her, well, there's an end to everyone, and we're so glad that was a peaceful ending in heaven. I would just let those things you said continue to be said to her,
okay.
that would be ringing through her mind. Let's see what Jill and Jim think.
But Andrea, I love that you're trying to handle this in the best way possible for her. I don't think you have to repeat it every day to make sure she gets it. Okay? Because her memory is in and out. You have told her initially, right? So there's going to be days where you talk about him almost as if he's there. And so you're going to, remember him and tell good stories, and if she says, oh, when is he coming to visit? Oh, well, remember, Mom, he's with Jesus now in heaven. And you kind of just, as it comes up and is necessary, you just go, well, he can't come visit you directly, but he's going to see you in heaven.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
And little reminders like that, but he's still a part of her world and her long-term memory. Yeah. So you don't have to kill that, right? That can stay very much alive.
Yeah, so Andrea, you get the New Life today, the star on your lapel, because I think you did it exactly right.
Yes.
I think you do that not only for someone who you love so much who has Alzheimer's, but I think you do it for children. Mm-hmm. The way we talk about death is, it's they're now in heaven, and they're not in pain. And you kind of go with that, and then you let it flow because you never know how somebody's going to react to that, whether they have Alzheimer's or not.
Correct.
But Jill is so right that what you did was right, and you don't have to bring it up. You have to deal with your own grief, perhaps,
right?
Because your reality is intact, right? And you remember every day. She gets a break from it.
Yeah,
but
it is. It's a little blessing in disguise,
right?
Yeah.
And so in a beautiful way, I think the question was answered already by your answer. You did it right. And sometimes there's not another answer. I mean, that's what you do. And because of the Alzheimer's, and it just only complicates that, but it also might make it even more special because she honestly may not understand she might have to
Correct.
may not have to go through the grief that other people have to go through because she doesn't have that capacity right now.
Right. So she doesn't need as many
truly
details.
Don't have that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's I guess part of my question too. She doesn't have that because she remembers long term. She'll remember. She asked me just the day before, is he out of the hospital? That was short term. She even knew. She knew she was praying for him. She knew she was concerned. Yeah. But then if she sees something, that my concern was if she sees, because she's pretty tech savvy, she goes on Facebook, she's going to see posts, she'll see things. And then,
right. And so there may be some of that where she's sad again, but he's at a party. He's at a party in heaven, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you prepared her for that in a beautiful way. So when she sees that, you've already helped her, kind of think through it. So now it's a grid that she's thinking through. He's with Jesus, he's in heaven. And so she looks at the Facebook or she looks at other things, and sure, she's going to have some, probably a depth of grief, but not in the same way because you helped her, you brought it up. Sometimes people who say, don't talk to an Alzheimer's patient about it, I think they're wrong.
Right.
And so it's not for you're not looking for the right response necessarily. You gave her what she needed.
And I just want to say, kind of along with the lines with Jim here, I'm really grateful that no one decided to keep it from her. And then every time she mentions him, there's uncomfortable weirdness, and she senses that.
Right.
I think you did a good job. And, sometimes people with Alzheimer's, they will kind of snag on some bad news because it is a big loss, and maybe they don't remember a lot of stuff, but boy, they remember that. And that's when you kind of help her see the upside. But if not, I just think the advice to not feel like you need to bring it up every time. And, if she were to say tomorrow, when does he get out of the hospital, you might just let it go, or you might once again reinforce it. Just depends on, is she continuing to deteriorate?
How lucid is she at that moment?
So you can just decide. And the main thing is, it's a dilemma for you because you're there with her, and that's really the great news there. So I'm glad you called. I'm going to send you a restoration Bible just to say thanks for calling us. I'll send you Jill's book, Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers, and I hope and pray that something we've said has helped a little bit here. And you continue to do a good job being a supportive daughter. All right. 1-800-229-3000. It is so tough.
Well, Steve, I have this great story. An uncle in my extended family had Alzheimer's, and he kept wanting to leave because he was supposed to accept an award, right? And he kept saying, I've got to get there to the company because they're giving me an award. And he would wander off, so it was really a problem. So my cousin, we were at a family event, she had an award printed, a plaque made for him. And we all sat there and we celebrated and we presented him with the award and cheered him on, and that satisfied it. So sometimes you join with them, right? So then they can get past it.
No, you're right.
And other times you give them bits of reality. But to tell him he didn't get an award, that didn't help. No. Right?
No. I have another story too, if it's okay. My wife's, her dad had Alzheimer's, and she said, I think he needs to be baptized. And I said, well, he's not really in a good place for that. I mean, he's in a home. And she said, no, we're going to do this. So we drive from Southern California to Central California, and I'm being kind of, okay, we'll do it, but. And so I did. She read some scripture, and I baptized him. And then our little daughter, Heidi, who's not little anymore, but she sang a song off tune, totally off key, Create in Me a Clean Heart. It was what she'd learned in Sunday school. And he started to cry. And we realized somehow spiritually we had connected with him. And he didn't know my wife's name at this point. But you never know.
You don't know how much is getting through. Right. And two, we know that the body and the mind stores everything. They just don't always have access to it.
Exactly.
Right?
And sometimes they do. That's what's fascinating.
Yes, exactly.
Not easy. I love that story, Jim. You know, I had a wonderful aunt named Martha Sue on my mom's side, from the Russell side of the family, and she just passed away, and I went to the funeral week before last. And her kids are just incredible believers. Her influence it's just remarkable. But one of the boys went through a little time of rebellion. And when he was talking about his mom in front of everybody else, he said, well, you know, I did go through a time. And so when I did, my mother is the one who shaved my head so that my mohawk would look as good as a mohawk could look. And she is the one that dyed it orange for me so it would be the best orange possible. And, you know, what she was doing was just taking all of the value out of rebelling, you know, and having to be different. And sure enough, you know, he just came back around. But she was a wonderful, wonderful person. And, you know, I regret that this Sunday, a lot of folks, you're going to celebrate Mother's Day, and your mom has Alzheimer's just like this. And it's a time of reckoning and dealing with the reality. So we all pray for you, and I hope that this will be as good as it can be, and as much as it's up to you, that you will do your part to make it as good a Mother's Day as possible. Well, how about we go back to our phones and we talk with Carlos from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. WBYN is the station. Carlos, hi there. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. A little bit of allergy I was mentioning earlier, but then I'm fine. Yeah. How are you?
All week. Wow.
Yeah. Oh boy, it's been a tough one. It's been a tough. So, Carlos, what's going on? How can we help today?
I just wanted to. I actually trying to seek some direction and to get some clarity about a couple of things.
Okay.
I have a daughter. Will be graduating high school this year, and our relationship has been damaged because of directly the bitterness of her mother that she has towards me, and she has spilled this over to our child. And I began to see this when she was about 11, and I had run into a problem with the law back in 16, and what I seem to believe that it's possible that she may have had something to do with it. Right after I was arrested, she filed for divorce, and her behavior towards me was more toxic than it was during the whole course of our marriage.
Yeah.
But to make a long story short, I had a couple opportunities to try to bond with my daughter as best as I could, only to come to find out, to be confirmed, that she was only with me or agreed to be with me because a situation had arose to where her mother was sick and she needed my help. So naturally, I came out of my heart because I wanted to bond with my little girl and hopefully to try to reconcile some things with my ex-wife. And even if it was no more than being friends, but that didn't go well.
Okay, so to get to a question that we could help you with here. That's a sad situation you got going there.
All of my efforts to try to reach out and to try to show that I care and that I wanted to be there have been to no avail. And after this last incident where I had to call the police because my daughter was being very disrespectful, she was staying with me for about a month while her mother was in rehab recuperating. The moment she got home, she started to show her true colors. And I wanted to find out what the problem was, and she was just very disrespectful, just to put it lightly, without getting into a whole lot of detail. And I had to call the police because she went to the drawer to get a knife to try to stab me with it. And I pulled her away, and I called the police, and she called her mother, and her mother was getting on me and criticizing me for why would you call the police on your own child and all of this here. So she pretty much gave her the, you know what I mean?
Well,
and
I've got music playing, Carlos, so I have to go to a break. But when we come back, I think we can help you with some stuff here, and I'm sorry what you're going through. You're listening to New Life Live. Our phone number, 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, we would love to come alongside you and give you that help. We'll be back right after this for more New Life Live.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. We got Carlos in a very, very tough situation with ex-wife and daughter. Carlos, just to start, what was it that you ended up with legal problems? What was that all about that you were involved with? Let us know about that.
Felony possession of a firearm.
Possession of a firearm?
Yeah.
And was that because you had had the firearm there with your wife when she was yelling or something like that?
No. I was doing some freelance work in the city because I was between jobs.
Yeah.
And I had gotten hurt. I didn't have any income coming in, and I took the risk of going out to, try to earn some money to try to keep us all comfortable.
Yeah.
Even though I really shouldn't have. And I was experiencing some problems that gave me great cause for concern for my safety as well as my family. Mm-hmm. So I started carrying. I had run into an incident with someone who, if it wasn't for the grace of God, somebody being there that knew both of us, it could have gotten really nasty.
Well, good. It's just good to hear that you weren't freelancing, shooting stuff up for somebody, because that's where I thought that was going. So I'm glad that wasn't the freelance work. And then the second thing that I'm curious about, and I'll turn this over to Jim and Jill. When you called the police on your daughter, how did that get to be so bad that you needed to do that? Help us understand that.
Certainly. All through her mother and I's marriage, there have been issues between us.
What does that mean?
We just weren't able to. Well, that simply means that I was open to see and admit that I had some issues and was willing to work on them. However, she was in denial of her issues. And I had suggested early on that we seek counseling. And her response to that was, you can go ahead to counseling. I don't need counseling because I'm not the one with the problem. And, of course, with that attitude, you could pretty much guess.
Right. And
behavior, you know?
Well, and Carlos, I mean, clearly there were issues here. You ended up in jail. Mom ended up in rehab. Daughter is angry. I hear that you're kind of this theme of disrespect. Wife disrespected you and was bitter. Now daughter disrespects you. And so there are a lot of things that create a lot of chaos here and confusion. And I think sometimes in wanting to connect with our kids, we, instead of being upset over their lack of respect, we have to ask ourselves, what does their behavior mean? What are they unable to verbalize that they're acting out? And to look at that, you know, your daughter is struggling, and maybe respect isn't the first thing that should be required here. And to lean in and to own some of your stuff with your own kid, to be vulnerable in terms of sharing where you went wrong with things and the desire to do it differently.
If I may, I was trying to paint the clearest picture I possibly could in the short time that we have in the respective time, because I know you have thousands of callers.
Yeah.
And there's just not a whole lot. There's just not enough time to cover all the specifics to really give you a better understanding as to place and what led up to this.
Okay, well, I hear you, and we understand that. We're going to try to give you the best help possible. But if you could nail or reduce everything down to a single question, what would that question be?
Well, I want to know if there is any more that I could do to try to reach out to my kid.
Yes, there is, and I'm going to start with Jim. I've been thinking about this even before you ask it, but I want to hear from Jim, and then I'm going to give you my 2 cents after Jim gives you his $2, because he's exponentially wiser about this.
Carlos,
Jim.
Carlos, I have a phrase for you. It's actually something I got from a friend of mine named John Ortberg, and he always says, love God and do the right thing. And to try to fix this relationship with your daughter, this is not a quick fix. This is a long-term relationship. And you know what? There's great stories out there of people who have story. You have a story, and we probably don't know it all. But there's people out there who've had stories who have, over the long run, really had a good relationship with their kids. Steve and I have a very good friend named Dale. It took him years and a toxic wife who was pouring toxicity of the kids. And you know what? Today he's in a good relationship with him because he loved God and he did the right thing. It's long term, and I'll let them talk about it at after the break. But there you go.
All right, we will go to a break, and really glad that you called. And Mary Beth will go to you after that break. You are listening to New Life Live. Tomorrow, transforming grief that's what we're all going to be doing around here, and we'd love for you to join us. You can sign up. I think you can still get in. You don't have to leave your home. 1-800 New Life. We'll be back.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. July 22nd to the 24th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, talking with Carlos. Jim, did you have some other things you wanted to say to Carlos?
No, I think, I'm guessing that, Carlos, there's some other things in your life that you've got to get it together with. And you know what? When you point a finger at somebody else, even your wife, ex-wife, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. Get the help. The way you lead for that child of yours is to lead with getting some counsel, getting as healthy as you can. And when that happens, your kids are going to follow, especially when they become adults and begin to understand all the stuff that's going on. So don't think that she has to respect you this moment. Now, again, I don't know what your other stories are, but work on those stories and get whole and heal. Do the right thing and love God.
So I want to be really accurate in what I'm saying here. I hope you'll hear it the way that I intended, Carlos. But, I was married previously, and she left and divorced me. And I went on a campaign to be sure that everybody knew, I was the good guy and she wasn't. Of course, then one day I realized God was just as much on her side because God's on everybody's side. But here's the thing. In me trying to look so good, and sometimes, I had to defend myself. People would say, well, what did you do to contribute to the divorce? Well, I didn't do anything to contribute to divorce because that's another person's choice. But I did finally have to come to grips that I had been a donor to the problems that we had. And then I went to work on what I put into the problems. She made the choice to divorce, and I really started to grow up when I started to, rather than defend I hadn't caused a divorce, to deal with my peace. So I want to encourage you to move that direction so that you'll be the better man. Now, when it comes to your daughter, you and your wife got married, and your daughter had an expectation that you're going to stay together, that you're going to be in the same home, and she's going to be safe, and nothing bad's going to happen to her. Well, that didn't happen. And so your daughter, to the best of her ability, she doesn't trust you, and she doesn't trust her mother. She, like many kids, try to figure out, what's my strategy going to be to survive this world? I can't count on my parents. And who she is, her overreaction or whatever, that's the best she could do. And if you want to have a connection with her, you let her know that you know her expectations of you and her mom are not unrealistic, and that you didn't provide to her what she expected, and that you understand that she's doing the best she can, just like you're doing the best you can. And you let her know that there is nothing she can choose to do that will ever get you to stop loving her and wanting to be with her. I think the connection with her is admitting your failure, acknowledging her realistic expectation, which is this realistic expectation of any child, and then absolutely saying it in a way that she is finally convinced you are always going to be there. Mom may not be there, but you're going to be there. And that calling the police is not going to be an option. If it ever gets to that point, you let her know that you, Carlos, will leave the scene if it gets too bad. But let her know, I'm not ever going to do that again. And let me send you a copy of, Jill.
Well, I'm just saying that's really good, Steve. You have to give up trying your case, especially with your kids. That doesn't help them. They need to hear that humility and that you're going to be there in the face of them wrestling. Because remember, their allegiance is torn in two. And if she's with mom more, then she's got to be, joined with mom. And so to do otherwise is a betrayal of mom. And so she's in a really tough spot. But to be there consistently, regardless of the disinformation that's thrown at you.
Well, I just think it's important that rather than defend yourself to your children to say, I did the best I could, which is commonly said, you need to jump over on the other side and see that your child is doing the best that they could come up with in trying to survive and get through without parents that stayed together in the marriage. It is tough. Rarely do I find humility to be a poor strategy when it comes to our kids. And speaking of humility, one of the most humble and wise and wonderful people is in the studio, Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, how you doing?
Thanks, Steve. Doing really well. Thank you. And I'm here on two fronts. I'm here to remind folks about this matching challenge that we have going. And I like to read testimonies because I want to reinforce to folks why we believe this ministry is worthy of their support financially.
What do you have?
Here we go. Chaplain Art. I've been listening to New Life Ministries since the late 1980s when I was a seminary student. At the time, it was the Minirth-Meyer Clinic or something like that, and I listened as often as I could. The pastoral care and counseling that was being offered and encouraged was mirroring what I was learning in seminary. Eventually, I started reading the books written by Dr. Cloud, Dr. Townsend, Stephen Arterburn, and so many others. I've referred people to these books and materials for about 30 years. I believe New Life Ministries has helped make me a better youth minister, pastor, mental health therapist, and chaplain all these many years. I know that countless number of people have been supported and encouraged through this important ministry. This is a large reason why we are members of Club New Life.
I love that.
There's lots of ways to give, folks. An individual gift, join Club New Life, be monthly, donate your stock to us, sign up in your trust or will or whatever to the Remember New Life. There's just all kinds of ways to give. Right now we're looking for cash giving or something akin to that so that we can meet this match. It will be a God thing if we meet it. We're working like it's depending upon us, but we know better. Yeah. We know God's going to touch hearts, and so we're asking, maybe you're one of those hearts that needs to be touched.
Larry, this we need gifts between now and May 30th or 31st. I forget which one it is. 31st. Okay, we got an extra day there, and we need those. But we also do need those that decide to put us in their will. We call it our Passing with Purpose plan, and because it does just keep on giving. Okay, maybe we're not going to call it that.
What?
But
what I like about the testimony you read is that people start with us and they have changed over time with us, and they have been with us for the long haul. So that makes sense, Steve.
40.
Right?
That's 42 years. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a long time. Like, we haven't lost them. So God is honoring this ministry.
It's so much fun to be part of this ministry and to see people's lives changed. I was at a fundraiser a few weeks ago at the Museum of the Bible, and a gentleman who has a ministry that, oh my goodness, it is all about Israel and the Middle East. And I didn't know this guy. He comes up to me and he says, Steve, several years ago, a friend of mine worked in your call center in Buena Park, California. And we had a call center there. And he called me up and he said, hey, you have to come be part of this. You will not believe. Well, so he moves in with his parents and goes to work with his buddy at the Buena Park call center. And he says this to me. He said, Steve, it was the best 6 months of my life. Because you talk to somebody on the phone and then you get to see them transform right before you. And we're getting to do that on our weekend intensives. We get to see people change. And some of our folks, we've got pictures of when they first started working with us and 2 years later. And especially this one person, I said to Larry, I said, no plastic surgeon could do the job of transformation in that woman's face. She is beautiful and transformed. And if you give to us, you're part of every one of those transformation stories. So please do. We'll send you a beautiful, beautiful, we love these devotions, 100 Days to Freedom from Anger. And you know why it's freedom from anger? Because it helps you get to the thing below the thing. And even the thing below the thing that's below the thing that's causing that anger.
Steve, I just want to say, too, before we go to break here, thank you. Thank you, everybody who's giving and who will give. I can't express gratitude enough, not just for us at New Life, but for the folks who are struggling that reach out to us for help. They're the folks that are saying thank you.
That's right. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you can help us, please do. Thank you, Larry, for all you do. Thanks for bringing us good stuff. We'll take a break, come back for the final segment, and finally, we're going to go to Danielle. We'll be back after this.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Orange County, California, May 13th to the 15th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Jim Burns is with us, the author of Doing Life with Your Adult Children. And if you'd like a copy of that, you call us. Dr. Jill Hubbard, one of the greatest books that she's written is Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers. One of the, if not the wisest woman on the air today. And guess who gets to talk to her? Danielle. Danielle from New York City, New York, listens on the internet. Hello, Danielle. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling us.
I'm doing good. I was struggling with feelings of guilt and shame about being a bad wife because of sexual integrity issues.
Uh-huh. Okay. And tell us about that. How long have you been married?
I've been married for over 12 years, little over 12 years. My husband is a great man, very supportive, and I've just have guilty feelings about doing things throughout our marriage, from past traumas that I've dealt with that I was working on that I feel have caused damage in our relationship. I don't think he would say that he feels that way. We both have had our issues, but I just feel I struggle with feelings of guilt and shame because of the things that I've done.
Now, are you talking about while married you've been unfaithful to him, or what exactly are you sharing with us here?
No, not unfaithful. I mean, in my thought life, I have struggled with lust, and I've struggled with impure thoughts. But throughout our marriage, I've struggled a lot with anger or just feelings of not feeling worthy to be his wife. Just feeling like there's been times where I've tried to sabotage it because I felt like I didn't deserve it, or I felt unworthy, or I felt guilty and ashamed because he's really treated me like a princess. And
so who in the past there in your childhood growing up made you feel unworthy and kind of like a second class human? Anybody?
Yeah. I think just my dad. My dad was and my mom, they were very abusive. It's a miracle that I'm alive today.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
That's not an exaggeration. I was sexually abused repeatedly throughout my childhood from the time that I was 3 till about 15.
Well, you know what?
And,
I hate hearing this. And don't you think it kind of makes sense that a person who was sexualized at age 3, traumatized through age 15, might have some difficulty with controlling their thought life in that area? Of course. So what kind of treatment have you had for that kind of horrific trauma?
I've had extensive treatment. Right now I'm actually meeting with a new life counselor. She's been great. Meeting for about 5 months now, and she's really been helping me.
Good.
I've gone to recovery programs through 12 steps, have an amazing support system in my church, and I've gone to meetings, and I've had a lot of therapy growing up, even in my childhood, just to treat all the trauma and the sexual abuse, and I've gone through the Wounded Heart.
Oh, that's good. Dan Allender. Okay, so I wish we had more time. I'm going to tell you something you might think is kind of superficial, then I'll let Jim and Jill weigh in here. But one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in my life is, acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. And if I was working with a therapist, I would say I need to go to work on acceptance. Accepting the reality of who these people were. Accepting the reality of what they did to me. Accepting the reality of the impact that has had on my life. Once we can fully accept reality and then embrace it, then that's when I think we start to move beyond the pain and the struggle. That's what I would want your therapist to be doing with you. Jill, Jim, anything you're thinking here?
Before I hand it over to Jill,
okay.
let me play Pastor Jim. We have a Heavenly Father who loves you not for what you do, but for who you are. And I have a feeling that some of your feelings of not worthy is because you didn't have that growing up. And so what I want to say to you is, as you lean into your relationship with God more and more, and I love that you have a support group at your church. I mean, a supportive, you're getting the counseling, you're doing the hard work. Way to go. Make sure that in that process, what you hear is God looks at his daughter and says, I love you and I'm proud of you and I want the best for you. And I'm just so proud that you're working through your pain. So, Jill?
But it makes sense that might be hard for you to hear and take in because of your early training, right?
Even an earthly father. It's hard to have a loving Heavenly Father when we, in our mindset with,
Yes, and so when we're young, we internalize those messages, even if they're wrong. And so you've been doing so many right things, Danielle, and the work needs to continue, right? It's long-term work. So I imagine you do know intellectually that none of what happened to you was because you were unworthy or less than. But that's the message that gets mixed up inside. And I love that God gave you the husband that he's given you, because it's such a picture of what Christ does for us. In all of your suffering, Danielle, you can identify with Christ and all of his suffering, right? And how in all of our unworthiness, Christ loved us, the Lord loved us and saved us. And your husband sees a princess, which is exactly how Jesus sees you. And so even when you don't feel it, it's good to say the words. This is his opinion. It's not, it doesn't mean you have to fully understand it or feel the same as he does, but you have to hear his opinion, and he gets to have his opinion about you. Jesus gets to have his opinion about you. Your husband is the earthly embodiment of that, and what a gift you have in him.
Again, I'm so glad you have a New Life counselor there. Reality is, if I cannot accept myself and what has gone on, then I can't accept pure, unadulterated love from another human being. And so I might sabotage that because I have such a hard time accepting it. I'm not used to that feeling. So being the good wife you want to be, I mean, you're doing the work. That's the best thing you possibly can do, and I hope that you'll continue to do that. And don't ever give up on God. God has not given up on you. Matthew tells us that while you were being abused by your father, your angels, it says, were in the presence of God, making sure that your abuse did not go unnoticed. God says, in a fallen world, I'm not going to prevent tears, pain, heartache, but I'm going to wipe those tears away. For you, listeners, God bless you. Whatever you're going through, God is there for you. Reach out and you'll be found by him. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.